Hi, so what we're going to talk about right now, we're going to talk about the order of operations. So the order of operations is a systematic process on how to organize or how to perform the mathematical operations to solve problems. So in some way, some fashion, we've heard of the order of operations in the past before. Mostly we hear them as PEMDAS or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And that's what I have listed right here. The P, the E, M, D, A, S. So P represents the parentheses, and we're going to talk about all these in just a second. So I have plenty of examples for you guys. So P represents the parentheses or brackets. Parentheses and brackets mean the same thing when we're talking about algebraic expressions. E is for exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. Now I have multiplication division as one color and addition subtraction as the other color, mostly because there's caveats to those guys. So whenever it comes time for multiplication and division, you have to do the one that comes first from left to right. Okay, so if you have multiplication and division in your problem, whichever one comes first from left to right is the one you knock out first. Same thing for addition and subtraction. After you're done with the multiplying and dividing, then you have adding and subtraction signs. Whichever one comes first from left to right is the one you need to take care of first. So the directions on some of these problems, or I'm actually going to take the ones that we see in Newton, are simplify using the order of operations. So in this one, in this example problem, we have 25 divided by 5 squared minus 7. So step 1, do we see any parentheses? No, we don't. So we don't need to simplify it. So we can move on down to the exponents. Well, guess what? We have exponents. We've got this 5 squared. So 5 squared, or 5 times 5, would be 25. So that would be 25 divided by 25 minus 7. So we took care of exponents. And then we have division and we have subtraction. Division comes first before subtraction, so we're going to divide 25 by 25. And that gets us 1. And then now we have subtraction. So we have 1 minus 7, which gets us a minus 6 for a final answer. All right. So the order of operations, the list that we have up here, we're going to follow that right down to the T. So whenever you're doing these problems, you definitely want to make sure you have it written on a note card, written on a piece of paper, whatever, so you can constantly refer back to it. So another problem that we have, and there's always two, you can always hit pause before we start working on the problem so you can kind of work it out yourself, and then hit play, and then you can see what the answer would be and how it would be worked out. So for this one, we have negative 5 plus negative 10 divided by 2 times 5. All right. Now, hit pause real quick, see what you come up with. All right, so in the order of operations, the first one that comes to mind is parentheses. All right, so we have the parentheses simplified to one number, but we can get rid of the parentheses to make it a little bit easier. Reason why I'm saying that is because we have a plus and a minus next to each other. So a positive times a negative, well, that gets us a negative. So that would be negative 5 minus 10 divided by 2 times 5. So basically we took care of the parentheses. And now we have subtraction, division, and multiplication. Going on down the list, we don't have any exponents, so we get to multiplication division. Here in this problem, division comes first when we read it from left to right, so we take care of the division first. So that means we have negative 5, and then negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and then times 5. So we took care of the division. And then now we've got multiplication. So we take negative 5 times 5, and that would be minus 25. Okay, just to recap, the division came before multiplication when we read this from left to right. So we divided first and then we multiplied. And now we have the addition. And when I say addition, because we're taking two numbers with the same signs, and two numbers with the same signs will be added together. If they have different signs, then they're technically considered subtraction. So if we add a negative 5 and a negative 25, you could think of it like money. If you're $5 in debt, you get a bill for $25, then that means you are $30 in debt. You're negative 30. Okay, so negative 30 would be your final answer. On the next problem, we have a negative 21 times 1 minus, in parentheses, 5 plus 3 squared. Now, of course, you can hit pause real quick and see what you come up with on your own. And let's kind of see. All right, so for this problem, we do have parentheses. So we need to simplify the parentheses to a single number. So we have 5 plus 3, which in this case, inside the parentheses would be 8. So we're going to bring everything down for the ride. Okay, so we took care of the parentheses. And then now we have to take care of the exponents. Well, we have 8 to the second power, or 8 squared, which would be 64. So that would be negative 21 times 1 minus 64. And then we have subtraction and we have multiplication. Multiplication comes first. So negative 21 times 1 would be a negative 21, and then minus 64. And then now we have two numbers with the same signs, so we add them and keep the common sign. So negative 21 minus 64, well, that would be a negative 85 for a final answer. All right. Now, getting a little bit more complicated. Okay? A little bit more complicated. So, hang on real quick. I do apologize.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes. What's your name? Lucian?
Lucian, yeah.
Okay. Apologize. I had to set up a meeting for a tutor and a couple of students. So, in this problem here, we have to simplify the stuff inside the parentheses. Okay, and then we can take care of the exponents and all that stuff. So we have 4 minus 2, which that would give us a 2 inside of this parentheses. And then we have a negative 1 minus 3, which would give us a negative 4 inside of that parentheses. So we simplified all of the stuff inside the parentheses. Now we can move on to the exponents. So we have 2 times 2, or 2 squared, which is 4. And then everything else comes on down. Also, too, since we did simplify the parentheses to a single number, you don't have to carry those parentheses anymore if you don't want to. Okay, I do it just for emphasis, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So now we have the division. So a 4 divided by negative 4, that would give us a negative 1 for a final answer. Okay. All right. Now, lastly, well, not lastly, we got a couple more problems in there. I got a little ahead of myself. What if we have something that looks like this? So we have a problem with brackets and parentheses. So how would we do this? Well, yet again, you still work the parentheses and brackets. You still follow the order of operations. But in a nutshell, if you're trying to visualize this, you want to work from the inside out. Meaning that everything we're going to do for a little while is going to occur between these two brackets. So we're going to get everything between those two brackets down to one single number. And then within those brackets, then we have addition, subtraction, and division. So we've got to use the order of operations in the bracket, and then once we go outside the bracket, then we use the order of operations again. All right, now, so inside the brackets, I have a division. I've got -3 divided by -3. I have these two guys right here because division comes before addition and subtraction. So that means I have a -5 plus 6, and a -3 divided by -3 is a +1. Okay? And so, all I have left inside the brackets is addition and subtraction. Now, if you want to, you are more than welcome to put this in a calculator and just go from left to right. Okay, you're more than welcome to do that. But inside the brackets, a -5 plus 6 would be a +1. And then a +1 plus 1, that would give you a 2 on the inside of the brackets. So you added and subtracted. All right. So we got the stuff inside the brackets to one single number. Now we can start working outside of the brackets. So now we can start taking care of the exponents. So 2 times 2 or 2 squared, well, that would be 4. Okay, so exponents. And then 2 times 4, that would get you an 8. And that would be your final answer. All right. Now, something I do need to mention. When you're working order of operations problems, a lot of times your work is going to start looking like a tornado, a little funnel, whatever. And it's because your steps are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to a single number. I've always called it an upside-down Christmas tree. Some people have called it funnels, tornadoes, all that jazz. So, but yeah, that's just definitely something I want to throw out there, you know. But also too, as I said in previous videos, I have my work on the left side and my steps on the right side. So that's just how I'm able to see what's going on versus having to kind of guesstimate. So in this next problem here, and I got 2 more problems here, and that's it. And that's pretty much going to cover a lot of the stuff that you'll see in your homework assignments. Okay, as always, you can hit pause and see what you come up with if you want to knock it out yourself. All right, so we're going to work with inside the brackets first. Now, with inside of those brackets, we're going to work inside the parentheses first. Okay, so remember, we're going to work from the inside out. All right, now, that would be -2 times, and then we have the brackets, 16 divided by. So the 8 minus 4, that's inside the parentheses, inside the brackets. So we've got to simplify those guys first. So 8 minus 4, that would be 4 with the square on top. And then you have the square on the outside of the bracket. Yeah, the outside of the brackets. Okay. Now we can take care of the 16 divided by the 4 squared. So remember, in your order of operations, exponents will come before division or multiplication. So we still have the 16 divided by, and the 4 squared, well, that turns to 16. All right, so we did exponents. And then inside the bracket still, we got the division. So the 16 divided by 16, Well, that gets you a 1. So now we have the brackets down to one single number. So now we can start working outside of those brackets. So now we can take care of the 1 to the second power, which is 1 times 1, which is 2. I'm sorry, I cannot believe I just said that. 1 to the second power, or 1 times 1, which is 1. I apologize, it's been a long day. So we took care of exponents. And then we have negative 2 times 1, which is negative 2 for a final answer. Okay. So yeah, just like I said in the last step, the work is starting to look like a funnel, starting to look like a little tornado, and then it comes down to one single number. Now, last but not least, we have another problem down here. 9 minus, in parentheses, 3 plus 11, close parentheses, times 2. So hit pause real quick and let's see what you come up with. All right, so first things first, we have to simplify our parentheses. So that would be 9 minus 3 plus 11, well, that would give us 14. And then times 2. So we got parentheses taken care of. Now all we have left with is subtraction and multiplication. Multiplication comes before subtraction, so we got to multiply. So that would be negative 14 times 2. Well, that would be negative 28. Definitely watch your signs on these. I've seen a lot of students make small mistakes, and it piles up pretty quickly if you're not careful on the multiplication of negatives and positives and things like that. So a 9 minus 28, well, we have subtraction because they're different signs. So we subtract the two numbers and take the sign of the larger number. So that means 9 minus 28 would give us a negative 21 for a final answer, and that is because we subtracted. So as always, let me know if you have any questions of any kind. Just to recap, this is a very systematic process. It's using that order of operations that we have written down, right down to the T. Okay, so like I said, have that written out right next to you while you're working these problems. I guarantee you it's going to make a world of difference. But like I said, let me know if I can do anything to help you guys, and I'll be here. So keep working hard and stay tuned to the next video.